If I say to a Muslim, you know that the Prophet Muhammad very probably didn't exist anyway, he certainly didn't take dictation from the Archangel Gabriel, don't be silly. The guy acts as if I've said the most unbelievably horrible thing. As if life would be unlivable if what I said was true, or even if I was allowed to say it. What is this? What is this? I ask you. It belongs to the childhood of the race. It belongs to our bawling, spoiled infancy. We have to grow up and get over this. Now, why it is that people believe it, I think I can make a guess. I think people are afraid of dying. And I also think that they can be persuaded that an exception can be made in their own case. If they make the relevant propitiations and so on. I'm not of that view. I'm really not. I mean, just try it. Just try standing in the airport or on the street, see them come towards you. Ask first which species of primate they'd be. Okay, is that a chimpanzee there? Is that a silverback gorilla there? Is that an orangutan there? You'll find everyone you know falls into one category or another. It passes the time at airports. And then you say, now look at that one. Now, if that one had gone to church every day and gone to confession every week, and tithed himself and so on, he'd be absolutely assured of eternal life. He'd have nothing to worry about. See if you can make yourself believe it. Then see if you can make yourself believe it about yourself. Well, obviously people can, and there are obviously people who know how to make a living out of this racket. But that's why when I'm told, well, at least you must respect people of faith, I say, well, actually I don't. I don't think lying to children for a living is a respectable occupation. It's very, very, very rare indeed to meet a physicist of any standing, from Einstein onwards, who is not at the most a Spinozist. In other words, someone who might say there could be a pantheism somewhere, there could be a force, but there is no way you can take a step from the laws of physics, the observable creation of the cosmos, that leads you to the belief that there is an intervening personal God who does answer prayers, who does watch over you, who does notice what you're up to, who does mind what you do, who you sleep with and in what position, what you eat and on what days of the week, what propitiations and sacrifices you will make, what commandments you will observe. There is no possible way, no one's even tried it, of getting from the laws of physics or biology to any such idea. So from the person who says, I'm a deist, I don't think all of this can be an accident, there must be some cosmic force, I say, I can't disprove it, though I think the cosmos functions without it, but you have all your work, sir, or ma'am, still ahead of you, before you can say that Jesus of Nazareth was a real person, let alone that he was the Son of God, let alone that his mother was a virgin, let alone that he was resurrected. None of these things, by the way, would prove he was the Son of God, if they did happen. Nor would they prove that his doctrines were not erroneous. A resurrected person who was the son of a virgin could still be talking nonsense. There's no logic that says he must be right. If I'm having an argument with you, sir, and you say, you lose, boy chick, I say, how come? Because my mother never went to bed with another man. Your logic is faulty. I think my case could remain just as strong as ever it was. In default of that, I must say, rather bizarre intervention. Except the injunction to love your enemies, which I don't think is a moral one. Do I love the theocratic suicide murderers? No, I don't. I dislike them. I wish to encompass their defeat. They wish to be martyrs? Okay, I'm here to help. But it would be positively immoral to say that one loved them. It would be disgraceful, cowardly, and masochistic to say so. And there, in 3 words, you have the root of Christianity. The Pew Research Center in the United States has recently done a lot of work on religious allegiance. And what it's found is that the largest growing minority in your southern neighbor is those who check none of the above in the box marked faith. It's double what it was 10 years ago. I would predict it would double again in the next 10 years. It's about 13 to 14% now. These are not atheists, I should say, but they are people who, if you wanted to say what their common and unifying proposition would be this. An ethical life can be lived without reference to the supernatural. Simple proposition. That plus, I think, the desire to defend the Constitution and the idea of a secular republic and the separation of church and state from theocratic bullying, both at home and abroad. People have had enough of being menaced and threatened and lectured and terrified by those who claim to have God on their side, whether it's obviously the forces of jihad or more insidiously and nearer home, those who want to have stultifying nonsense taught to American school children with taxpayers' money, let alone the idea that equal time should go to stultifying nonsense. In other words, after the biology class, we have the intelligent design moment. Don't call it intelligent design, by the way. You've made a concession if you agree to call it that. Call it creationism, we just want to go. So then we have the astronomy period, and then we'll do Mrs. Jenkins will take you for astrology after the break. And then tomorrow we'll have your alchemy papers all ready. It's enough to make a cat laugh, and people won't have it. Nobody wants to come from a state that gets laughed at for that kind of stupidity. And no one's going to hold their convention in the capital city of a state that does it. And it's been defeated now in every court and school board in the land. And I'm proud to say, I think, after battling it for a long time, I've lived to see these people defeated. Not just defeated, but also humiliated, which is very nice. I can't improve on the argument that David Hume came up with, against the idea of the supernatural, against the idea that the laws of nature are occasionally suspended in order to make people's faith a little more secure. Ambrose Bierce, in his Devil's Dictionary, you may remember, says, under prayer, under P for prayer, prayer, a request that the laws of nature be suspended in favor of the petitioner, himself admittedly unworthy. David Hume puts it a little more acidly than that. He says, if you see the laws of nature apparently suspended, perhaps a virgin's given birth, perhaps a leper has suddenly stopped being a leper, who knows what it might be, you know the sort of thing, you have to ask yourself one of two things. Well, actually you have to ask yourself both. Which is the more probable, that the laws of nature have just been suspended, or that I am under a misapprehension? That's if you are an eyewitness yourself to the wrong. If you're hearing about it second, third, fourth, and fifth hand, you have to ask this question with redoubled and trebled and quadrupled force. And the likelihood is which? That the laws of nature were suspended, or that somebody maybe garbled, maybe a rumor got around. If you make this assumption, then nothing is mysterious about reality. Nothing is mysterious at all. It would explain why everyone seems to die and no one comes back. No longer a mystery about that. The great theologian Lancelot Andrewes, the Archbishop of Canterbury, during the Black Death, wondered. He said, it seems odd to me. There are people who go to church and pray, and they give their tithes, and they do everything that they're supposed to do, and they lead godly lives, and yet they seem to die of the plague just as much as the sinners do. He went to his grave, the Archbishop, not realizing that he'd very nearly stumbled on a very good point. Who says, teach the argument. Let's hear both sides on evolution versus creationism. You'd be surprised by how tenacious that view is, how tenaciously, I mean to say, that view is held by some people. But I feel one might help to get us over some of that hurdle too. First, there isn't an argument. There's not. You don't hear people saying, well, children, chemistry class is over, and then we'll have a break, and then there'll be the alchemy period. After we've done our astronomy, darlings, it'll be the astrology class. You don't get that, and of course it would be ludicrous and hateful if it were proposed, but under the cover of religion, there's no stupidity that can't be advocated. I would vary it only in two ways, and I think I could plead the Constitution in both cases. First, I don't think churches should be exempt from taxation, because that constitutes a subsidy, so tax-exempt churches shouldn't be allowed. Second, I think if someone's found mutilating the genitals of their children, they should go straight to jail and shouldn't be allowed to plead a religious right to do so. Same with honor killing, same with polygamy, same with bride price, same with child marriage, and I think if a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian Scientist lets a child die from neglecting to take them to the doctor, the same should apply. That should be the last thing they do on the outside. So obviously the common law has to be made to apply. And I think that Congress should hear, and the Supreme Court should hear, evidence that no American aid money should be allowed to go to Israel that is even diverted to the building of Messianic settlements on the West Bank, because as well as theft, that's the establishment of religion using American taxpayers' money and should be illegal. And if there's going to be equal time for the teaching of religion in schools, then every church that takes a faith-based initiative subsidy or a tax break should be forced to spend half of its time teaching the origin of species.